all the best sports clips from around the country. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? Because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They don't respect us. They talk down to us. They say this all the time. They don't read the comments. We're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. And honestly, I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing you've heard, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is also, then also please definitely let me know. But either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I truly think it could become something really, really special. And honestly, we're already well on our way there, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I really see this channel just as much as mine as it is yours, and I want us all to feel connected to it, something that we're all proud to be part of, something that we're really excited to build and to, come to every single day. And I really think we can do that. So without further ado, let's get to it. Watching a clip from The Herd with actually Nick Wright, being interviewed by Colin after he just did his Herd hierarchy. Now, I haven't seen even The Herd hierarchy prior to this. I did not get a chance to watch that segment yet. I did see like the thumbnail of the video, and so I just was able to see the 10, glanced it, but I really didn't see it. I just saw that the Eagles weren't on the list. That's all I really saw, which is not a surprise, honestly, but I'm not sure the order, so I'm going to be finding it out in real time and in the background. So let's get into this.
Anything that, you know what? I've had Buffalo there forever. I've kind of bought into their nonsense. Nothing. I did put Green Bay at 10, though Miami's probably better, but I kind of like the story of the Packers.
All right, let's look at this real fast. We got the Ravens, the 49ers, the Bills, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Lions, the Rams, Browns, Texans, Packers. All right. So, first glance, I'm I'm processing this right now, real time. Bing, 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 boom, 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 boom. I would put the Ravens make sense to me. The 49ers make sense to me. The Bills make sense to me. Now this is where it starts to get interesting. I don't think I think the Browns are better than the Chiefs. Okay, put it this way. This is a little bit harder for me to do right now, because I gotta do it in my mind without moving it and seeing where I remember teams. I would put the Chiefs under the Lions and the Rams. I would put the Chiefs at 8. I would put the Chiefs at 8, and then the Browns at 7. And then I guess and I would leave the Texans and the Packers where they're at. And then I guess maybe the Cowboys. I see the Cowboys in a 3-way tie with the Lions and the Rams. So I guess I would maybe give it to the Cowboys at 4, because at the end of the day, they have actual more playoff experience. And at the very least, Mike McCarthy, whether you think he's super competent head coach or not, he's at least has more experience than Dan Campbell in that regard. But Sean McVay, out of the three of them, is definitely the best coach. But his team is probably technically the weakest. Not technically, it's the weakest. It got the not the younger or the healthiest team, and just has the least amount of talent. But I think I think it's a lot closer. But I would take the Chiefs out of there, and I would really drop the Chiefs below, in the playoffs. So obviously this means it would be a Super Bowl, so it kind of changes things. But if the Lions go against the Chiefs, I don't know. In that situation, you're banking on Goff not showing up, and you're banking on Dan Campbell not, being a good coach in those situations. The Rams, again, you're just betting on maybe you're just betting on age of them just no longer being in their prime potentially. But I just think the Rams have a better roster than the Chiefs at that point, quite honestly. And the Browns, I just think, are a really good team. The whole thing is their defense is great, and you're just banking on to have Cleveland at 8. You're essentially just banking on Joe Flacco not being able to compete, right? Like he just kind of goes back into an old man, retiree. That's really what you're kind of banking on. But if he continues to play great, well, then the truth of the matter is, and the Cleveland Browns are great, So it's definitely a little bit harder to figure out. But I think 9 and 10 makes sense. And then I guess, Miami Dolphins at 11. And then the Eagles at 12, right? And is that all the teams? No, I guess, wait. I feel like we're missing teams here. But yeah, no, let's see what they have to say.
I do think the Texans could be I think Houston is undervalued. Anything bother you?
Nothing bothers me. I think that you want to and should and will in your pick flip-flop the Lions and the Rams. I think you're going to pick the Rams to go to Detroit and win. They are going to go to Detroit and win. They are the better team. They have the better coach. They have the better quarterback. They have the better defense. And so, listen, I think the Rams are right now, I think the Rams are pretty clearly the third best team in the NFC. And the Rams are the one team that is not a division winner that I think actually has a viable chance to make the Super Bowl. I don't think any of the wild card teams other than the Rams, and I think that the Niners, it could be a very tough spot for their first playoff game after a couple weeks off to face Sean McVay and that Rams team that played them tough earlier in the year, that beat them in the playoffs a couple years ago. So I like the Rams more than I like the Lions, but the rest of it I have no objections to. The Bills, it's ugly, and I don't know really, they're winning because of Josh Allen and despite Josh Allen, all in the same game. But other than that, I'd flip-flop Lions-Rams. I think these are really spot on.
All right, let's talk about the Bills. I liked them over Miami. When they lost to Philly in overtime, I said, you know why I like them? Because they start to look like a Super Bowl team. Mahomes at his best had a decent defense, a pass rush, and a bit of a running game. I think Buffalo's been just so overly reliant on Josh putting a cape on. And the truth is about the Chiefs, Mahomes is great, but he doesn't have to be great every moment for the Chiefs to win games. And I do believe Buffalo has some components they haven't had. So as a number 2 seed, can you acknowledge they have overcome a lot this year and they're feisty?
Well, listen, I thought they were dead when they were 6-6 because I did not think that they could string together 5 straight wins because I thought Josh Allen would not play great 5 straight games. What is so remarkable about it is during this winning streak, Josh Allen's numbers are down across the board. His passer rating, his touchdown interception, all of it, and the team's performance is up across the board. The defense has played much better. They have become much more of a running team. And I did think Sunday night was something of a microcosm of who the Bills are any given month or any given season when it comes to their quarterback. Like, Josh had 3, maybe 4 truly awful mistakes early in that game. He took points off the board 3 times, including the play before halftime. His first touchdown pass went 30 feet in the air and could have been another interception. But then the flip side to that is he made 3 or 4 plays only he can make as far as the punishing runs for first downs. And so I give the team and the coaching staff credit for winning. It'd be one thing if they won 5 straight because Josh went supernova. It kind of went in the other direction. He and Stephon Diggs are still not on the same page. He's not playing 4 quarters of great football, and they're winning despite that. I think it'll be great theater. The Bills, I think the seed should.
You see that, how he's just trying to act like Josh Allen has just done nothing to help him win, right? He's pretty much saying that the Bills have won, in spite of Josh Allen, despite of Josh Allen. And so, why does that phrase sound weird to me? Am I not saying it correctly? I'm getting tongue tied. And so, which I just think is so asinine and absurd. And again, under that logic, him and Mahomes have similar stats, or Josh Allen has better stats than Patrick Mahomes. And so if that's the case, then the Chiefs are winning, they're overcoming Patrick Mahomes' bad play. So again, which is it? How do we make sense of that? We can't, because it's nonsense. You can't make sense out of nonsense. It's just that cut and dry. So he's got such a gripe with Josh Allen that it's so weird. I mean, at this point, it's weird. Honestly, it really is. I don't know if secretly, like, Patrick Mahomes doesn't like Josh Allen or something, and so he's just doing it, to try to just continue to earn brownie points with Mahomes in Kansas City. I mean, I just don't get it, because it's just weird at this point. It's like a scorned, like, ex-girlfriend or boyfriend. You're just like, get over it. I mean, it's not like Josh Allen has just been playing terrible and is doing awful, and yet the Bills are just still winning. That's not what's happening, and that's why numbers and stats can often be really misleading. Like one of those, how we said, oh, Josh Allen took points off the board. Yes, like the one time definitely did. The other time, it was essentially a punt. They went for it on 4th down. It was an interception that he just launched because he knew he just had to, like, get rid of it. And it was just like essentially like a Hail Mary at that point. So, and they're counting that as an interception and that as points off the board. And it's not the case. If you want to blame the coach for not kicking a field goal, that's one thing. But there was nowhere for Josh to go with that ball. There was no check down. There was no way for him to do. And then again, like, he had to put his head down and even also, what Nick just said is annoying, because it's like it's subtle dicks. He said he did what only Josh Allen can do, and then he mentions some of the rushing plays, right? Which obviously I agree with that statement, except it's also, a backhanded compliment, because he's leaving out some of the throws that Josh Allen made in that game were unbelievable. Unbelievable. That one pass to Diggs and stuff was unbelievable, that virtually no one else in the NFL could make. So this notion that, and again, let me see Patrick Mahomes not only get walloped like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, in a game, and in that same game, after getting your bell rung that many times, getting decked, getting destroyed, and also now make that amazing throw. You don't see that happen. You don't, okay? Patrick Mahomes gets hit that many times and gets hit that hard. He's all banged up and wobbly and is not now making these insane, amazing back-footed throws. Patrick Mahomes can make those throws, but typically not after he just got knocked in the head 100 times. It's just, that's what makes Josh Allen so fascinating and so resilient and so, powerful, is that he can do both within minutes of each other, which most players can't necessarily do. The only one is probably Lamar Jackson off the top of my head. And so that's what makes Josh Allen, really extra special. And you can't take that for granted. They talk about that's kind of the issue with some of these running quarterbacks, is that when you run a lot, and then especially when you get tackled and hit really hard, like you're seeing stars. You see stars every time you get hit hard in the NFL. You start to see stars. Like, it's not to say that you're getting a concussion, but you're definitely not feeling 100% great within the first, 20, 30 seconds of that moment. So it takes a lot of skill to be able to get hit that hard, that heavy, start to see stars and kind of, have things be a little sparkly, and then call hike and step back and now launch the ball 40 yards, in a perfect dive. That is incredible. And I think we lose sight of that. We think that we're just playing a video game when we're watching TV, and that, okay, he got tackled, and as long as he's like not injured, right? And as long as he doesn't have a concussion, or as long as he's not like limping or going like, oh my God, you're like, oh, so he's just fine, right? Like that tackle is clean. Everything's good. He's 100%. That's not always the case. Anyone who's ever been tackled in a game of football knows that, it's like, you're just not always, just because you're not limping or you're not getting carted off, doesn't mean that you're just like, everything's all good, that you can just see straight, everything's perfect. And, again, you're not seeing like the stars. Anyone you don't even have to play football. If you've ever just like fell or hit your head, things get sparkly. That's in the cartoons with the little birds going around. Like, that's what that comes from. So it's a very real thing. So to be able to get hit that hard in the middle of a game, during a game, multiple times, and still throw the ball unbelievable like that is unbelievable.
Should hold in the AFC, or the favorite should hold in the AFC, I should say. And we should get Chiefs Bills for the first time ever in the playoffs in Buffalo. Listen, Colin, I might make the drive up or I'll fly up from New York City for that game. You could go cross country.
Yeah.
You could maybe splurge on a little suite and in nice conditions. We could watch that game together, not too far from here. But this is the best they could have asked for. And through an up and down season, they somehow found a way to get the 2 seed. So I give them credit. Gun to my head, do I trust them? No. Would I think the Steelers, if they had TJ Watt, would be the exact type of team Buffalo would be in a 3-point game in the fourth quarter against? We'd be like, how the hell did this happen? Yes, but I give them credit for what they've accomplished over the last 6 weeks.
All right, Chiefs beat Miami earlier. Game was in Germany. I think both teams are a little, they're a little punctured. The drops, the penalties. This is the transition from stage 1 of the dynasty to stage 2. It's always bumpy. They'll figure out the receiving core next year. They're not a great team right now. Miami is not. Miami's shown no ability to go on the road, win in 9 degrees against a good team, so Kansas City wins. But it is interesting. Miami is just dangerous enough and smart enough in a lousy weather game, are they not, to put a little anxiety into Nick Wright's coffee cup, just a tad.
Well, so listen, 2 weeks ago, Miami was playing to be the 1 seed.
Yeah.
And now they're on the road in round 1. Yeah, going into this past weekend, the teams the Chiefs could play, Buffalo was the 6th seed, but it was almost impossible for them to finish as the 6th seed. So going into this weekend, they could have been playing Indy, Houston, Pittsburgh, or the Dolphins. On paper, the Dolphins are the most dangerous of the bunch. I actually think Houston could have been the most dangerous of the bunch, but set that aside. Yeah, theoretically, Miami's dangerous. But I watched them not want to tackle Josh Allen in 60 degrees on Sunday night. So I wish them luck tackling Isaiah Pacheco in negative 15 wind chill next Saturday night. Also, the Chiefs right now, the sneaky thing, everybody knows about the drops. Yeah. I think the drops I think the drops are a problem, but a little overstated. The understated problem with the Chiefs is they have had bad tackle play.
Yeah.
The interior of the offensive line is great. The tackle play's been bad. Well, Miami's down all of their edge rushers.
Yeah.
So if there's any team that's not going to be able to take advantage of that, it would be Miami.
Yeah.
And so here's my prediction, Colin. I think the Chiefs' offense looks better than maybe it actually is Saturday night. And all of a sudden, it's the playoffs, it's the divisional round, and the Chiefs are coming off a pretty significant victory. And everyone has a moment and says, wait a second, the best coach, the best quarterback, Patrick Mahomes there, right? And they have a great defense. Did we maybe sell the Chiefs short? We'll see, but I think that'll be some of the narrative going into divisional weekend.
All right. Speaking of great coach, great quarterback, let's talk Dallas. Joking. All right.
Oh, okay, sure. Well,
so
Super Bowl champion, could be MVP. You give him some credit.
I said this: 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. Outside of Jim Harbaugh, tell me all the coaches you're absolutely sure that could have gone 12-5, 12-5, 12-5 with a quarterback we view as like B+. Like McCarthy, late game situations. Packers, Cowboys are huge brands. Their games get billions of viewers, right? Like they're really big. If he had these coaching issues in Cincinnati or Jacksonville or Houston, we wouldn't pick him apart. We'd go 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins. Is that McCarthy needs to beat Green Bay, youngest playoff team since the 74 Bills.
Oh, yeah.
But if he loses the next game, he's got the same resume as John Harbaugh.
The heck was that?
If Harbaugh loses second game, do you run him out of town? Like, I think McCarthy remains the guy if he beats Green Bay. Why is that nuts?
Well, I don't think it's nuts. I think that now I'm under the assumption the Rams are going to beat the Lions, in which case that second game, Colin, would either be against Baker Mayfield, your beloved, in Tampa Bay, or against an Eagles team that is self-immolating on a week-to-week basis. I think they got to win both of their first 2 games. And we did it on the show a few weeks ago, or maybe last week, of all the teams that had 3 consecutive or more 12-win seasons. And all of them, during that streak or prior to that streak, had at least been to, if not won, a Super Bowl. If McCarthy does it without ever reaching a conference championship game, that's a tough sell. That's a really tough sell.
Well, and that's what it comes down to. And this is what I've said now repeatedly, and I guess I'm gonna have to keep talking about it because this is just, this is the playoffs. There's just, we're concentrated on these teams. I think, and I'm not gonna go down my list again of all the teams that the Cowboys beat who are just not good. But what it comes down to is really simply this. The Cowboys are in a situation where they have to be competitively relevant to win the Super Bowl. They have to be. That is who the Cowboys are supposed to be. That's who the Cowboys were like 30 years ago, and now they haven't been. They have to feel that they have a chance to actually consistently, genuinely win the Super Bowl. And if they don't, then you're just going to keep making moves until you are, whether that's get a new quarterback, whether that's get a new coach, whether that's get rid of every single person, like whatever you have to do. That's what needs to be done. And the Cowboys, they haven't even in the last, let's just not even say the last 30 years. Let's just say the last 5 years. Let's just say every year with Dak Prescott, haven't even made it to an NFC championship game. That is a big deal. That is a huge deal. And this year, of all the years, the Cowboys have the best chance, like kind of Nick just laid out, where they get to play the Packers. They should beat the Packers. And then they really have the legit chance of going up against either the Buccaneers or the Eagles. That's another dream scenario if you're the Packers. I mean, if you're the Cowboys. So you have to win those two games and get to the NFC Championship game. And if I'm a Cowboys fan and we get to the championship game, the NFC Championship game, I'm not going to like it if we lose to the 49ers, but at least I'll be able to sleep at night to some degree. I'll be more mad at Jerry Jones for not getting a better team, for not making more moves in the offseason or in the middle of the season and signing and trading anyone to beef up the roster, like a lot of these other teams historically do. For instance, the 49ers making an in-season trade to get Christian McCaffrey, and then how they then went and got, whatever the guy's name is, from the Commanders. And so on defense, can't think of his name right now. And so you did real things, and the Cowboys don't do any of that. So if I'm a Cowboys fan and we lose to the 49ers, I'm like, I get it because the 49ers are a better team. They just are. It's just undeniable. But I'm mad at Jerry Jones for not making my Cowboys a better team because this team then just would not be good enough. Now, if you don't make it to the NFC Championship, I mean, there just has to be hell to pay. And if you make it to the NFC Championship game, but you lose and it's not the 49ers, you lose to any other team, whoever I guess it would technically be, I'm not sure what the math would be of how the games would unfold for who else they could technically face in the NFC Championship based off of the seeding. But that's just bad. Really what I'm ultimately trying to say is if they lose to anyone but the 49ers in the playoffs, that will be devastating. If they lose to the Packers, devastating. If they lose to the Bucks, to Baker Mayfield and the Bucks, devastating. They lose to their rivals, the Eagles, who have been playing so poorly, who everyone is saying that they are trash, fire Sirianni, Jalen Hurts sucks, this, that, and the third, and they lose to the Eagles, devastating. They lose to Detroit Lions, to Jared Goff and Dan Campbell, like what? Devastating. And then you lose to Matthew Stafford and the Rams. I mean, like, maybe you can convince yourself, well, hey, Sean McVay, probably a future Hall of Fame coach, and Matthew Stafford has a Hall of Fame argument as well, and won a Super Bowl, this, that, and Puka Nakua coming out of his mind might also one day be a Hall of Famer, You could kind of make that argument, and I think the maybe one of the easier overlooked ways of the Rams right now is because of their start was so poor because of injury and just, other issues at hand, that people just kind of see the Rams as maybe not that great or that elite of a team. And now they just kind of maybe got things together. So no one really sees them as a legit team, where if if their schedule unfolded a little bit differently and their wins were compiled a little bit differently, would we then see them as a more viable threat? So so maybe it wouldn't be as devastating of a loss. But, I don't know, especially because theoretically you beat them. But again, I stand by this. You beat them when they were not who they are now. And that matters because they're a different team now. It just is. So I think that's something that you have to take a look at. So realistically speaking, I'll just say one more time, the only way you can lose if you're the Cowboys, that you're not going to just like completely lose your mind, would be the 49ers. And that's where you just can't, you can't just blame Dak or fire McCarthy on that. Like, they have a better team. Their team is constructed deeper with better players. It just is. And so then you got to blame Jerry for constructing the team as is. You can't just ask Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott to magically overcome a clear superior team. Just not fair. I mean, it's just not. So it's just that hill becomes too steep to climb. It's just that simply put. But what do you all think? Would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this one. What did you think of Colin's herd hierarchy? Any teams that you would kind of mix around? I would love to see like what your 1 through 10 teams are. What do you think should happen with McCarthy and Dak Prescott and the Cowboys? Would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. We're obviously going to keep talking about this for the next few days, right up until the playoffs, and then who knows what's going to happen then. I'm so pumped. I'm so excited. I honestly just want to go to sleep until the games start. I mean, this is just going to be so great. There's just such awesome storylines that I'm really excited for. But yes, please let me know in the comments below, and please do not forget to subscribe. And we are building this amazing community, and I just truly, truly would love to see you part of it. And please do give this video a thumbs up. It really helps with the visibility, really helps with the algorithm, and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.